There's nothing quite like the smell of freshly baked bread. It's warm, inviting, and speaks of comfort and home. Many people find the idea of making bread from scratch daunting, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be. With a few simple ingredients and some basic techniques, you can create delicious loaves that will impress your family and friends. The key to good bread lies in understanding the role of each ingredient. Flour provides the structure, water brings it all together, and yeast is the magic ingredient that makes the bread rise. Yeast is a living organism that feeds on the sugars in flour, producing carbon dioxide bubbles that make the dough light and airy. Kneading is another crucial step in bread making. It helps develop gluten, which gives the bread its chewy texture. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and really work that dough. Finally, patience is a virtue when it comes to bread making. Allowing the dough to rise properly, both before and after shaping, is essential for a light and airy loaf. So relax, put on your apron, and let's embark on this rewarding journey of baking bread together. Before we begin our baking adventure, let's gather our essential ingredients. Don't worry, we won't need anything too fancy. For a basic loaf, you'll need strong bread flour, which has a higher protein content that helps create a better gluten structure. Yeast, the magic ingredient that makes our bread rise. You can use active dry yeast or instant yeast. Warm water, which is best for activating the yeast. Salt, to add flavor and control yeast activity. And sugar, which is optional but can help feed the yeast and enhance browning. Once you have your ingredients assembled, it's important to measure them accurately. Baking is a science, and using the right proportions is crucial for success. I recommend using a kitchen scale for precise measurements, especially for the flour. Now that our ingredients are prepped, let's move on to the fun part, mixing and kneading. In a large bowl, combine the flour, yeast, salt and sugar if you're using it. Make a well in the center and gradually add the warm water, mixing with a wooden spoon or your hands until a shaggy dough forms. Turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface and start kneading. Use the heel of your hand to push the dough away from you, then fold it back over itself. Rotate the dough 90 degrees and repeat the process. Knead for about 10 minutes or until the dough becomes smooth and elastic. Place the kneaded dough in a lightly oiled bowl, cover it with a clean kitchen towel, and let it rise in a warm place for about an hour, or until it has doubled in size. This is called the first rise or bulk fermentation, and it's where the yeast does its magic, creating air bubbles and developing flavor. After the first rise, gently punch down the dough to release the air bubbles. Divide the dough into desired portions and shape them into loaves or rolls. Place the shaped dough on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Cover them loosely and let them rise again for about 30 minutes or until almost doubled in size. While the dough is proofing, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 degrees Celsius. Just before baking, make shallow slashes on the surface of the loaves with a sharp knife or razor blade. This helps control the expansion of the dough during baking. Bake the loaves for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until they are golden brown and sound hollow when tapped on the bottom. Let the bread cool completely on a wire rack before slicing and enjoying. Congratulations, you've just baked your own homemade bread. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction of creating something delicious from scratch. So go ahead, slice yourself a piece, slather it with butter and savor the fruits of your labor.